Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Hoi, hoi, hoi!
Let's discuss the mighty five-time world champion and the defending champion, Australia. It is Tanuj's Karma Bhumi, and so who better to describe the team Australia as my man Tanuj? Over to you.
Yes, Sagar. Hello to all our viewers. Yes, just disclaimer before we start. This video could end up being a bit long because it is the team that I support. Despite being an Indian, would love to have an India-Australia final, and then whoever wins doesn't matter. So, but Australia have had a. I mean, I was listening to Gaurav Kapoor's comments when Australia qualified for the semi-finals, and he said that even if 3 months ago, 4 months ago, if anybody would have said that Australia is going to reach, would you like to bet $1 on the fact that Australia is going to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup? Most people would have said we might not even waste $1 because we don't think Australia reaching the semi-finals. The third ODI against India in Ranchi, India 2-0 up, and everything has gone against Australia till then. The sandpaper gate last year, Australia's form dipped. They lost against Pakistan in the Test series in UAE. India coming home, India coming to Australia. I'm sorry, India coming to Australia, and India beating Australia for the first time since 1948 in a Test series, or probably the first time ever, and winning the one-day series as well. I think they won the T20 series as well. I'm not mistaken. That happens. Everything is going wrong for Australia. Then Australia come to India. They win the T20 series 2-0, but then they lose the first two ODIs. The third game in Ranchi, Australia scored a big score. India chasing Kohli batting over 100. Dhoni and Kohli batting together. Everything going against Australia and Australian cricket to the point. Suddenly Kohli gets out, Dhoni gets out, and India win a miraculous match. Australia win that game, then win the next two games on the trot, win the series, go to UAE, play Pakistan, beat them 5-0, come to the World Cup, and then they've won every game apart from that one game against India, which they lost by 36 runs. They've won every game in the tournament. Aaron Finch has led this team extremely well. I think he's come out as someone who's a very, very good leader of men, and also, I mean, just about 6 months ago he couldn't buy a run. That's how bad his form was. But I think Ricky Ponting coming into the coaching setup as a mentor has helped him. You can see his that in swinger against Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and also against right arm fast bowlers, getting him LBW. He was an LBW candidate, but now you can see that he's playing straight, much straighter now. David Warner, Steve Smith coming back in the team. Usman Khwaja has got some runs. Glenn Maxwell, that could be a problem factor for his form. Could be a worrying factor. But then look, with Glenn Maxwell, you just pick 10 players and pick Glenn Maxwell. You just never know what can happen with him. He's not a passenger in the side. He's an extremely good fielder. He can give you overs and he can change the game with the bat. Alex Carey behind the stumps has been superb. Marcus Stoinis has been good. So I think. All in all, this Australian team, the batting has looked all right. I still feel with Maxwell and Stoinis that it could go either ways for them, because they set up the platform. In many ways, they play very much like the way India are playing. The top order sets up the platform for the likes of Maxwell and Stoinis and Carey, and then the fast bowlers likes of Cummins and Stark. They can all go for it. So I think that could be. That could be something for Australia. But I mean, the bowling, Mitchell Starc, I mean, I've said it before, he's one of my favorite bowlers, probably my most favorite bowler. I mean, it's one of the great sights in world cricket when he can come left arm over and get the ball to reverse swing, which has happened in a couple of games for him. Pat Cummins is pretty much every Australian's favorite kid out here because he can bowl at any stage of the innings. He's a wholehearted cricketer. Zampa was the preferred choice, but now they've gone to Nathan Lyon. He gives them control in the middle overs. And then they've gone with Jason Behrendorff, who looks, well, as one Indian journalist once said, that he looks a bit like John Cena. I don't know about that. But again, very tall, fast bowler, typical Australian material, big, tall, fast bowler, loves to hit the deck, gets the ball moving. He's from WA, Western Australia. So I think all in all, this side has pretty much got it all. But I think, again, just like India, their problems could be they're 2 down or 3 down for not too many. And then it happened against West Indies when they were 2 or 3 down for not too many. And also, I think, against New Zealand when they just scratched their way to 243 and still found a way to win. So I think Australia's bowling, It's one thing that I had once long back remember when they were discussing the 2009 Ashes, which Australia famously lost in England after the 2005 Ashes. And I remember Nasser Hussain was once saying that he had once asked Graham Smith, who the former captain of South Africa, that how do you beat an Australian side, even when they're the strongest? What is the one way to beat an Australian side? And he said, if you want to beat an Australian team, give them flat pitches with no sideways movement, because then that negates their entire bowling lineup. And I think if you see the game against India that they lost, it was just that. I mean, you don't see, I mean, yes, of course, it was the class of Virat Kohli and the rest, but you don't see Mitchell Starc being easily hit over extra cover for six, that kind of stuff. So I think if it's a flat pitch, I'm not so sure about Australia's bowling, because it can go either ways. They have the quality, but I'm not sure. But on wickets that do something, Lords, where the World Cup final is going to be played, that wicket does something, and also the wicket in Manchester. That could, you never know with Manchester. Generally has a bit in it. So I feel Australia, I mean, this is the stage they love, because you ask any Australian fan, even here, you ask any Australian fan, they love to be favourites, which is something which we discussed about England as well, because before the tournament, that's what we questioned. Does England have that sort of love to be favourites? Because England are generally, they don't like being called favourites, but with Australia, they're just the opposite. They love being favourites. They love telling everyone that, you know what, we are the favourites. We love to be. They're just very aggressive people in general. So I think Australia, they're probably going to face New Zealand if they win against South Africa. Big advantage. If they beat South Africa tomorrow, they stay in Manchester. They don't have to travel. They can play on the same conditions in the first semi-final against New Zealand. New Zealand haven't been really anywhere close to the good form. So if you look on form, you probably think South Africa is their last game and New Zealand at the first time. Two relatively easy games for them, but then you cannot discount those teams either. So if they reach the finals, they've played well. They've played 2 games at Lords this year in the World Cup against England, New Zealand, 2 strong teams, and they've beaten them both. So I think Australia, along with India, probably the 2 favorites to win the World Cup this time. I'm hoping, and I think realistically, it's going to be an India-Australia final. We can still be proven wrong, but I think India-Australia final, and then you just never know. It's the Australian theory. I'll just finish off with this. That Ricky Ponting had once said that this is the Australian theory. That's how they win big tournaments and big games, semi-finals, finals. They always like to win the toss, bat first. If they won the toss, they like to put runs on the board. That's the Australian theory always, that runs on the board in big games. Because when there's pressure, it's the old timers say it, it's always said, you put runs on the board, even if it's a small score, even if it's 250, 260, it's very difficult for the team coming back and chasing it under pressure. So I think that's what they're going to try to do. Even if the pitch is a little green, if they're overhead conditions, this Australian team, semi-finals, finals, if they play both, if they play the finals as well, they're going to win the toss. If they win the toss, they're going to bat first, put runs on the board, put close to 280, 290, and then with their bowlers, if there's a bit of assistance, I think that's going to be Australia's best chance. What do you reckon? And sorry, just before finishing, Starc, 24 wickets. The all-time record is Glenn McGrath with 26 wickets. Starc at least has, not at least, he's got 2 games to go past that and to sort of and repeat his 2015 heroics when he was the player of the tournament in 2015 in Australia and New Zealand. And Warner and Finch, they both got over 500 runs in this tournament. So that's the strength for Australia. Warner and Finch at the top with likes of Smith, Maxwell, Usman Khawaja, Carey, Stoinis, sort of in relatively okayish form. With Starc, and in the bowling department, they've got Starc with Cummins and Berendorf and the likes of Nathan Lyle. So all in all, my team's looking all right. But look, anything can happen. You have one bad day in the semi-finals, you're gone. So anything can happen in the semi-finals. But I'm backing this team to at least reach the finals, and then we just hope that the best team wins on the day, or the better team wins on the day. Yeah.
Yes, Australia in World Cup is really, really something else. Like you said, I'm also a big Australian team supporter. I love India. I support India first. But when you're a kid and you see Australian team dominate, you will be a fan. And that's just Australia for you. As you said, they can be down and out. Like if you remember in 2007, they lost the series just before the World Cup. And then they came and they won every single match. And Apart from India, they are the very good all-round team. And as you said, for semi-final, anything can happen. There's one fact that Australia have lost two World Cup finals, 75 and 96. Australia have never ever lost a World Cup semi-final. And that just tells you they love pressure. Australia is something else in pressure. And I don't understand what the thing is, but every time someone is given captaincy of Australia, they turn out to be this super performer. It happens every single time. And they have something which only India has, but they have it more. They have a team who knows how to play a World Cup semi-final and final because they have done it before. They have won it in 2015. They have the same batting lineup. They have Warner, they have Smith, just two individuals making huge difference. If they face India, they have Usman Khwaja, which is a very good player of spin. Their bowling attack has always been lethal. Australia is always the team to beat. And I'm pretty sure even when the world was against them, me and Tanush, we were sure that no, you don't rule out Australia because we have seen 2003 World Cup campaign. We have seen 2007. They are always like that. They will always come and make you pay. This team, nobody chose, are going to finish mostly on the top of the table. This tells everything. And the one game which they lost on a flat track, and that too with not a bigger margin. So England, India played well. So these team of Australia over the years have amazed me. They will continue to amaze me because they have one thing, they have the temperament, they have a winning attitude. And this team, day by day, are looking really, really, really strong contender to win the World Cup. Mitchell Starc, 23 wicket. Oh my God, that ball he bowled to Ben Stokes. He had to kick his bat because that ball was unplayable. They really have. They continue to amaze me really. And Warner, I guess there's something wrong with him. He's just scoring runs. I guess he promised someone that once I'm back, I'm going to score buttload of runs, and he did that in IPL. And now Aaron Finch giving him partnership. Okay, they can fail, but again, in the match with West Indies, it was a collapse. Nobody thought they can win it, but then Australia did what Australia does. If Pakistan is famous for collapsing, Australia is famous for performing under pressure. That is a team, even if they know that the match is lost, they will give their 100%. They will not give you a single opportunity. And that's just the way Australia plays. Tanuj, I really want to know your views on what difference it made by including Warner and Smith in the team. I know it's a bigger video because it's Australia.
I think it's a huge difference. Of course, the class of the two batsmen. I think that's what they were missing with the 12 months that they were out for suspension. The fact that Warner and Smith. I mean, if you've got an aggressive opening batsman like David Warner and Aaron Finch has come of age, I think we had discussed this about 6 years ago when we thought that when Finch had come through, and we thought, what if you have an Aaron Finch and David Warner together at the top of the order, and you never know, they might just be this next big thing, opening partnership. If you analyze the 2015 World Cup that Australia won, Warner and Finch didn't have a great World Cup together as a partnership. If it was either one of them that kicked on and got a big score, but I think this World Cup they're getting those 100-run partnerships at the very beginning. So what that does is that slight underbelly that Australia has, just like India, that middle order, they start to feel a bit more relaxed. And I think one of the standouts for me in this World Cup was the way they batted on that pitch against England at Lord's in that game. I mean, I am not kidding you. I was watching the game on TV, and every ball, it was seeming like this much. This was the amount of seam movement that was there. And you give an English team with likes of Vokes and Archer and Mark Wood and Ben Stokes, you give that team a bit of seam movement and a wicket with some overhead conditions and a wicket that does something. I mean, they're going to say thank you very much. And on that pitch, they put on 100 and in relatively quick time, and made sure that they 100 without any loss, and made sure that they got their teams to a very good start. I think that to me was the acid test. And I remember when Aaron Finch got to his 100, Nasir Hussain on commentary said it was a tough morning and it needed a tough captain to show them the way, and that's exactly what he did. So I think Aaron Finch is I remember before the World Cup started, he said he's visualizing himself on the Lord's balcony on the 14th of July, holding the World Cup trophy. So I think he's a very strong captain. I think tactically very astute. I would probably rate him higher than Virat Kohli as a captain. I think Virat Kohli is a good captain, but at times he does go defensive. At times he just loses it a bit. But I think this Aaron Finch is the kind of captain he is. He holds his cards. And he's one of those captains. He doesn't mind losing the game in the 45th over, trying to win it, rather than just stretching it. Like some captains just try to stretch it so that the margin of defeat isn't strong. He likes to gamble a bit. He likes to take risks, and I think that's what's brought Australia where it is right now. So I think it's a good team. They still have to play well, regardless. Even though it's South Africa and New Zealand only. I mean, the whole saga started with Australia and South Africa last year in Cape Town. So I think this team is definitely pumped up to play South Africa tomorrow, and they can't ask for anything better when this South African team is really pushed to the corner. Really, they're not playing the best cricket at all. So I think that will be a tough game. And then again, I mean, if you come to this part of the world in Australia, you don't need any Australian team to. They don't need any motivation to play New Zealand. I mean, Australia New Zealand is like an elder brother, younger brother rivalry. Australia never think that they are inferior to New Zealand. So I think if they place in the semi-finals, they'll put their best foot forward to knock out New Zealand. So, and then of course, then India. I think to me that's going to be the toughest game for them if they reach the finals. India, Australia. Mentally, Australia would like to believe that they can beat them, but they know that India just has a bit more class up their sleeve. So I feel in an India-Australia game, it's probably 60-40 to India's favor. But the other teams, I think Australia should be good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the mental tenacity this guy show when thousands of people are booing you every time the ball goes to Warner and Smith, they are getting booed. When they are scoring century, they are getting booed, and still he's scoring runs. Hats off to that guy. If I get one dislike, and mostly from Sarfaraz Khan for imitating his Mastika Chauka, I will cry. But these guys can score centuries, so really, Australia, good job. And I hope that they finish on the top. And if they finish on the top, and India meets England and goes to the final, then, and if Australia win, either way, we will have an undisputed world champion. Because if India can avenge their loss to England, and if Australia wins, they would avenge their only loss to India. So either way, it will be an undisputed world champion at the end. And this is what world championship should be. People criticize the format. I loved it. Everyone played each other. So you have to play your best. And if it's India versus Australia, we will not have a champion. We'll have an undisputed champion. I would rate, if it's India versus Australia final, 51-49 to India's favor. In my heart, I want 99-1, but I've seen the horrors of 2003. I've seen the horrors of 2007.
2015 as well.
In 2015 as well, where Stark got Brendan McCullum in the first over. There's something about Australia getting Sachin out in first over, getting McCullum out in first over, and then Grilkis.
That's the Australian theory. They like to be aggressive. They don't try to hold back. They don't play the waiting game. They go for, like, if you see the ball that got Brendan McCullum in 2015, the MCG, it was full. They're targeting the first over, targeting the stumps. No looseners, no sighters, nothing. Going for the stumps. I think they want to be there. They love being in that situation. So I would like to see how it goes forward for Australia. I still feel that against India, they would probably hope to. I mean, it sounds funny, but they love to face England more than India in the finals if that happens. So I think they probably have a bit of edge over England, beating them recently. This team against India, I'm not so sure, but anything happens. I think Australia should reach the finals. I think that's something we both agree on. I don't think that they'll have a hurdle till the finals at least, because I think both New Zealand and South Africa obviously not in the semi-finals, but I think they should beat South Africa to retain the top position in the ladder, and then I think they should go past New Zealand at Manchester. So because New Zealand are not playing that great at the moment. So yep, let's hope for the best for Australia. Let's hope for an India-Australia final, and then just let's hope.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
One thing's for sure: 1.3 billion people in India, 25 million people here in Australia. close to 1.6 million people in the world, so a billion people in the world. They're all going to be tuned in on the 14th of July if it's an India-Australia final. So I think that's the spiciest contest in cricket. If you go to see in terms of quality of cricket, I know India, Pakistan, Australia, England have their own history involved, but I think India, Australia, because of the quality of cricket, they've built up a rivalry because of the quality of cricket. So I think an India-Australia final will be the perfect sign-off for this World Cup.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for me that India wins. Let's hope Australia wins for you. You are an Aussie now. You're wearing the Australian jersey. You have always been, and I've always been an Australian supporter. But of course, I'm going to support India for the World Cup final if it happens. I'm going to buy a cake and a tissue paper because if Australia win, I'm going to cry and eat cake in depression. And if India wins, I can celebrate by eating a cake. But anyway, I don't want to cry again. The only thing which can really beat India if Warner put spring in his bat this time around rather than Ponting. So let's hope that doesn't happen. No spring business. Let's hope for that. And I guess
May the best team win. Sorry.
May the best team win. And I'm so looking forward to this week is going to be a bit boring in terms of World Cup cricket because everyone is looking forward to next week. That will be amazing week. And we both will get back to you. We will make a video soon. This time
we'll be there for the preview of both the semi-finals and the finals, and let's hope that the 14th of July, the better team holds the famous trophy.
Let's hope for that. Thank you so much, Tanuj, for joining me today. It was really nice discussing with you. One last time, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Hi.
Thank you for watching our video.
Please do like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done it already. And thank you for everyone for giving us the motivation to keep doing these videos. Apologies for not. We were a bit busy, so we couldn't do the videos. But no complaints, no excuses. I'm assuming no excuses, I should say. And we'll definitely come up with all these videos in the coming future. So thank you very much. Thank you, Saga, joining in from Paris.
Always a pleasure.
A chilly day. It's a cold day in Paris. What's it like?
No, it was a heat wave till last week, and so now it's relatively better. I hope you have a good day ahead. Everyone have a very fun day ahead, and everyone have a laga masti ka chauka. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Cheers, guys.